They thought they could break you. They tried to extinguish your light, but all they did was throw more fuel on a fire they can't control. Spirit warriors, have you ever felt like you're under spiritual attack, like you're constantly fighting battles no one else can see? Have you ever wondered why certain people seem determined to drag you down, to gossip about you, or to actively work against you? Imagine a beautiful, thriving garden. The gardener, let's call him the creator, spends all his time and energy nurturing a special plant, a rare, magnificent flower. This flower radiates light and fragrance, drawing everyone's attention. But there are other weeds in the garden. They're jealous. They see the gardener's love for this special flower and they can't stand it, so they start to whisper to the other plants, spreading lies. They try to block the sunlight, to poison the soil around the flower's roots. They think they can kill it, but what they don't realize is that this flower doesn't just get its strength from the sun, it gets its life from the very hands of the gardener. The more they try to harm it, the more the gardener's attention is drawn to it. He starts to clear away the weeds, prune the dead parts, and give the special flower even more water and nutrients. Chosen ones, you are that flower. You are the chosen ones, the ones God has handpicked and planted for a special purpose. The enemies you're facing, the people who have tried to harm you, to gossip about you, to betray you, they are the weeds. They see your light, they feel the presence of God on your life, and it angers them. They don't understand it, so they try to destroy it. They've been a thorn in your side, haven't they? They've made you doubt yourself, made you question your path. I'm here to tell you that their torment, their attacks, and their jealousy have not broken you. They have only done one thing. They have angered God. They have lit a fire they can't control. You see, God is not some distant, apathetic being. He is a loving, protective Father who watches over his children. And when you, his chosen one, are hurt, he is moved to act. He sees every tear you've cried, every betrayal you've endured, and every sleepless night you've spent wondering why. And today we're going to talk about the divine consequences of messing with God's chosen. We're going to dive into the spiritual warfare you've been in and how God is turning the tables on those who tried to destroy you. So if you're a chosen one who has been through the fire, if you've been hurt, betrayed, or tormented, I need you to stay with me until the very end. This video isn't just a message. It's a spiritual activation. It's a reminder of who you are and whose you are. It's time to awaken to your power and witness the divine justice that is already in motion. Point 1. Their attack was a spiritual test, not a defeat. Chosen ones, let's be real. When someone is actively trying to bring you down, it hits different. It's not just petty drama, it's spiritual warfare. The moment you decide to live authentically, boldly, and unapologetically, you become a threat, a real one, and you start to notice something strange. The louder your light gets, the more the attacks come. The hate, the whispers, the sabotages, they don't happen to the weak. They target those who carry divine assignments. And guess what? That's you, spirit warrior. Now let's flip this perspective, because here's the truth they don't want you to see. Their aggression isn't evidence that you're failing. It's evidence that you're rising. Their attempts to sabotage you, mock you, or drag your name through the mud are not attacks on your flaws. They are reactions to your power. That's right. The universe, the source, God, whatever name resonates with your spirit, doesn't test the faint of heart. You were handed trials, not as punishment, but as proof that you were built for something greater. There's an old proverb that says, the devil doesn't bother an empty house. Think about that. No one tries to break into a home with nothing valuable inside. If you were insignificant, they'd leave you alone. But because your light disturbs their shadows, your presence naturally agitates the falsehoods around you. When you walk into a room with peace, clarity, and divine confidence, you mirror everything they've tried to suppress within themselves. You don't even have to speak. Your energy speaks first. Psychologically, this is called reactive insecurity. When people see someone shining and they've spent their whole lives dimming themselves, they lash out, not because of who you are, but because of who they're not. Neuroscience even backs this up. Mirror neurons in the brain fire when someone witnesses behavior they admire or envy, often triggering subconscious feelings of inadequacy or resentment. You see, even science can't deny your glow makes people nervous. But here's where it gets beautiful. You didn't break. You didn't let their jealousy, manipulation, or projection derail your path. That resistance you faced, it built spiritual muscle. Every lie they told forced you to embrace truth more tightly. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every attempt to cancel your spirit only expanded your reach. They didn't realize that their attacks were actually sharpening you. They thought they were burying you, but like a seed, chosen one, you were just planted, and you grew deeper, stronger, wiser. This is the divine paradox. What was meant to break you only revealed the unbreakable parts of you. You've been tried by fire, spirit warrior, and fire doesn't destroy gold, it purifies it. So when you feel targeted, instead of asking, why me, begin asking, what am I carrying that threatens their comfort? Because you are carrying something rare, a calling, a vibration, a frequency that doesn't bow to fear. And when people operate in ego, your presence will always feel like confrontation, even when you're silent. So stay rooted, stay glowing, stay true. Let them talk, let them plot, let them test, because their actions are nothing more than confirmation that you are a vessel of something sacred. And while they're busy trying to stop you, you're too busy walking with purpose. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to stand out. That pressure you felt, that wasn't the end, that was your activation. Spirit warriors, the fact that you're still standing, still rising, still loving despite it all, that's the real miracle. Don't shrink, don't doubt, don't apologize. The attacks didn't break you, they revealed you. You are the evidence of divine resilience. Now rise, chosen one. You've got a world to shake. Point 2, God heard every whisper and saw every action. Let's talk about something most people overlook, but spirit warriors, you already feel it in your bones. Divine accountability. Oh yes, it's real. In a world where folks think their whispers and backhanded deeds disappear into thin air, God keeps the receipts. Every slanderous word, every manipulative move, every shady little plot, they think no one saw it, but heaven did. And the ledger is divine. You see, when people gossip, they convince themselves it's just words, just opinions being passed around like casual coffee table talk. But spiritually speaking, words carry energy. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death." That's not poetry, that's divine law. Words can uplift or destroy. And when someone chooses to use their tongue as a weapon against a child of God, oh, the consequences aren't just social. They're spiritual. These folks thought they were being clever, smiling in your face, praising you in public while planting doubts behind the scenes. They tried to make you question your worth, your vision, your calling. But spirit warrior, they forgot who you belong to. You're not walking this earth randomly. You are divinely assigned. And when someone tries to tear down someone under divine protection, they're not just playing games. They're triggering divine justice. Now here's where it gets educational. In psychology, there's something called projection. It's when people project their own fears, failures, and insecurities onto someone else. They see you rising, glowing, evolving, and it scares them, so they talk, they whisper, they throw shade, hoping it will dim your light. But what they don't realize is your light doesn't come from ego, it comes from God. And the more they talk, the brighter you shine. Why? Because when people attack God's anointed, heaven doesn't just sit back and fold its arms. There's a spiritual law in place. What is done in darkness must come to light. Luke 8:17 spells it out. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be brought out into the open. That's not a metaphor, that's a spiritual inevitability. Everything they did, thinking they were being sly, recorded, reviewed, ready for revelation. Let's break it down further. Imagine sowing seeds in secret, thinking no one's watching. One day those seeds sprout, and guess what? The entire harvest gets exposed. That's divine accountability. It's slow sometimes, sure, but it's certain. God's justice doesn't move on our timing, but it moves with precision. While you were busy healing, growing, forgiving, and minding your sacred mission, they were busy building karma. And here's the wild twist. They were trying to ruin your reputation, but in doing so, they exposed their own hearts. See, you didn't have to lift a finger, you didn't clap back, you didn't stoop to their level. You let God handle it. And now, tables are turning quietly but surely. Spirit warrior, you're witnessing the beauty of being covered. Let this be a lesson, not just for them, but for all of us. Never underestimate the divine record. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's forgotten. God sees you, God defends you, God elevates you. So walk in peace, not pettiness. You don't need revenge when divine accountability is already moving behind the scenes. You were never alone in the fire. And when the smoke clears, those who tried to burn you will have to watch you rise from the ashes, wrapped in favor they can't touch. Because when they mess with a child of God, they're not just messing with you, they're challenging the divine. And trust me, he always answers. Point 3, the spiritual fire they started is now their own judgment. Okay, this is where it gets real good, spirit warrior. You see, they thought they were clever. They thought they were setting you up for destruction, for failure, for isolation. They lit that fire, spreading rumors, lying on your name, manipulating situations behind closed doors and smiling in your face like nothing happened. But here's the cosmic twist that's going to make you grin with spiritual confidence. That fire. It was never meant to consume you, that blaze, that inferno of negativity and chaos. It's going to burn them. And not just symbolically, we're talking about energetic retribution in full motion, because when you mess with someone anointed, a spirit warrior, you're not just playing petty games. You're playing with forces you can't even comprehend. Now let's break this down with some divine education. The universe isn't random. It's governed by spiritual laws, and one of the most powerful ones is the law of cause and effect, also known as karma. What you put out into the world must come back to you. But here's where it goes deeper. There's something even more precise, more surgical, more soul-correcting, divine justice. That's when God steps in. That's when the Most High decides enough is enough. You don't get to harm my chosen and walk away untouched. The energy they directed at you, the heartbreak, the stress, the betrayal, it's being redirected like a spiritual boomerang on fire, and it ain't missing its target. You see, spirit warrior, you weren't just being punished, you were being purified. That fire was your refining season. Just like gold is refined in fire to remove impurities, your soul was being cleansed of the fear, self-doubt, people-pleasing, and attachment to things that were never meant for you. And while you were in the flames, crying, praying, trying to understand why it hurt so bad, they thought they were winning. But what they didn't realize is that fire was forging you into something untouchable, something holy, something powerful. Meanwhile, the fire they meant to destroy you, it's now turning on them. Think about it. That bitterness they carry, it's aging them. That jealousy they live in, it's draining them. That manipulation they tried to control you with, it's caging them spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. Because when divine justice kicks in, it doesn't just deal with surface level karma, it exposes the roots of a person's intent. You were never their victim, you were their lesson. And the best part, you didn't even have to retaliate, you didn't have to clap back. All you had to do was keep walking, keep growing, keep elevating. Your healing became their mirror, your elevation exposed their smallness. That's why things are falling apart on their end. That's why connections are crumbling, opportunities are drying up, and guilt is keeping them up at night. Because the fire is doing what it was always meant to do. Cleanse the battlefield and crown the one who stood through the flames without losing their soul. Let this be your comfort, spirit warrior. You're not crazy, you're not weak, you didn't lose. You survived a spiritual ambush, and now the ambushers are facing divine heat they never prepared for, because they handed God a match and said, let's burn her down. And God said, all right, bet. But she's gold and you're straw. Stay grounded, stay glowing. The fire didn't destroy you, it revealed you. And now the judgment is divine and it's being served hot. Point 4, your pain has become your power. This might be hard to hear, spirit warrior, but your suffering was not in vain. Those dark nights of the soul weren't just painful chapters, they were divine initiations. Every tear you cried wasn't wasted. Every betrayal you endured wasn't pointless. Every moment of aching loneliness, it was forging you in fire. You weren't breaking, you were being remade. You see, pain has a way of opening us to truths we'd otherwise never be able to see. While the world chased comfort, you were being trained in the unseen. Let's get something clear. Spiritual warriors are not born in soft beds with easy lives. They are carved from hardship, refined through suffering, molded through storms. Neuroscience even backs this up. Post-traumatic growth is a real phenomenon, where people who have endured serious adversity report increased appreciation for life, deeper relationships, a greater sense of personal strength, and a richer spiritual life. That's you, warrior. You didn't just go through it, you grew through it. While others avoided the valley, you walked through it and came out with spiritual muscles nobody can see but everybody feels. You radiate that now, that quiet strength. That's what unnerves people, that unshakable peace. That's the proof you've been somewhere dark and didn't let it kill your light. Because of your pain, your perception is razor sharp. You can now spot energy shifts in a room before a word is spoken. You recognize manipulation wrapped in charm. You can smell fake empathy and see the warning signs others ignore. That's not paranoia, that's spiritual discernment, and it's something you earned. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're too guarded or too intense. That intensity saved your life. You can recognize a snake in the grass from a mile away, not because you're fearful, but because you've been bitten and survived. And now, you've built immunity. Even emotionally, you've evolved. While some folks run from emotion, you sit with it. You've cried the kind of tears that burn, the kind that baptize. And now, when others are drowning in their feelings, you have the capacity to hold space for them. Not because you read it in a book, but because you've been there. You've looked heartbreak in the face. You've felt abandonment claw at your spirit. You've whispered to the heavens with cracked lips, "Well, why me?" And then lived to whisper back, "Thank you, because now I see." That's not just survival, that's alchemy, turning pain into power. And now you have a testimony, a story, one that doesn't end in despair, but in awakening. You are living proof that the enemy can throw everything at someone and they still rise. There's someone out there right now who needs your scars, your story, your strength. They need to know it's possible to make it out. And when you speak, your words carry weight because you lived it. You don't need validation from people who never walked in your shoes. Your existence is validation enough. Spirit warrior, you didn't survive all that just to be ordinary. You were chosen to walk a narrow path. And that path hurt. It isolated you. It stripped you bare. But it also crowned you in silence. You were anointed in your agony. Your gifts were activated in the dark. You became dangerous to darkness when you refused to become bitter. You chose love even when you had every reason not to. That's not weakness, that's spiritual ferocity. So when people ask how you stay so calm, so grounded, so discerning, it's because they don't know your war. They didn't see the demons you had to silence, the inner wars you fought with no audience, but the heavens saw. And now, you walk with the authority of someone who's been through hell and chose to bring back light instead of rage. That's why your presence commands peace. That's why people feel safe around you without knowing why. You're not just a survivor, you're a spirit warrior. And your pain, it wasn't a curse, it was your calling. Point 5, God's protection is a shield, not a target. You ever feel like you've got a neon sign over your head that says, "Hey, attack me"? Yes, spirit warrior, being chosen can feel like being hunted. You're minding your business, loving your life, sipping your tea, and suddenly, bam! Someone's throwing shade, lies, jealousy, or straight-up spiritual warfare your way. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. What feels like a target is actually a shield, a divine one. And that shield, it's custom designed by God himself. Let's break it down. In the spiritual realm, chosen ones walk with an aura that glows differently. It's not just your vibe, it's your anointing. It's the frequency of someone who carries light in a world full of artificial flashes. And light, real light, irritates the darkness. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're covered. That's right. Covered so heavily in divine protection that anything or anyone trying to harm you is basically throwing punches at a force field. And you already know how that ends. They get tired, they get bitter, they get loud. And guess what? You stay standing. Science even backs this up metaphorically. Ever heard of the law of resonance? It says that energy of a similar frequency will naturally be attracted to each other, but incompatible energy will resist or try to cancel each other out. So when your high, God-aligned frequency walks into a room, any low vibrational energy that's been lurking in the shadows gets triggered. They might not know why, but their spirit does. They sense the protection, they feel the authority, they recognize the truth that you don't even need to speak out loud. Your presence already declares it. That's why people you've never harmed will go out of their way to hate you, because your light exposed what they were hiding in the dark. Now let's go spiritual warfare mode for a second. In Ephesians 6:16 it says, "Above all, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." That's not poetry, that's instruction. Your faith, your identity, your connection with the divine, that's the shield. So when someone tries to spiritually, emotionally, or verbally wound you, they're not even touching you, they're hitting the shield. And the shield doesn't break, it holds. every single time. But here's the twist that'll have your soul clapping. They're not just losing the battle when they come for you, they're wearing themselves out in the process. Picture it, someone running at full speed into a brick wall over and over, thinking eventually it'll crack. It won't, but guess what will? Them. Their mind gets tormented, their energy depletes, their plans fall apart. Why? Because they weren't fighting you. They were trying to outmaneuver the divine, and that's always a losing game. So the next time gossip floats around your name or someone throws spiritual darts your way, don't panic. Don't retaliate. Stand tall. Laugh if you must, because their attack isn't a threat. It's confirmation. It proves you're shielded, sealed, and sent for something greater. It means you're in alignment, on purpose, and glowing too bright for the mediocre to ignore. You're not fragile, spirit warrior. You're fortified. Every attack is just another example of how powerful your protection is. And every failed attempt by the enemy is just more evidence that God's shield is undefeated. So walk boldly, live loudly, and rest in the truth. They're not fighting you. They're fighting the armor of the Almighty. And in that battle, they will always lose. Point 6, you are being prepared for something greater. Let's take a step back, spirit warrior, and really zoom out. Why is your life filled with backstabbing, heartbreaks, silent battles, and sleepless nights? Why does it feel like every time you're about to breathe, something or someone tries to knock the air out of your lungs again? Here's the truth most people won't tell you. It's not chaos, it's curriculum. This isn't just spiritual warfare, this is divine preparation. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. See, God doesn't prepare his warriors for playgrounds, he prepares them for battlefields. You weren't called to a comfy life of cotton candy, blessings, and soft sunsets. Nah, you were called to a life of purpose. And purpose comes with pressure, the same way diamonds are formed, the same way warriors are made. You're being sharpened, not shattered. Every time someone betrayed you, it wasn't random, it was revelation. God was peeling back the curtain so you could see. Not just with your physical eyes, but with spiritual discernment. You had to know who was really for you and who was simply near you. There's a difference. Some people were never your friends. They were your spiritual assignments. And some were tests to see if you'd lower your standards just to feel liked. Let's make this even more real. In neuroscience, we know the brain adapts through something called neuroplasticity. When you're placed under pressure, be it emotional, mental, or spiritual, your brain doesn't stay the same. It rewires, you grow, you gain strength you didn't even know you had. So when God allows trials, it's not because he wants to see you suffer. It's because he knows how you're wired. You're stronger than you think. You were built for this. And spirit warrior, don't forget the agricultural truth. Before something blossoms, the soil has to be broken. The weeds, those fake relationships, toxic habits, limiting beliefs have to be pulled out. That hurts. It feels like loss, but it's not loss. It's landscaping. God is creating space so your purpose can grow roots. You're being cultivated, not cursed. Remember Job? That man lost everything. And still he said, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. That's spirit warrior energy. Faith that holds the line even when everything's burning. And guess what? Job got back double what he lost. Not because he begged for it, but because he trusted the process. The process is what made him capable of handling the blessing. And look, people around you may not understand your journey. They may call you crazy for walking away from what looked secure. They may laugh at your faith. They may even gossip when you fail. But they don't realize you're not walking for applause. You're walking in alignment. And that's what sets you apart. Every hardship you faced was spiritual conditioning. Every tear was watering your spiritual soil. Every lonely night was preparing you for divine connection. And every attack was building your armor. The kind of armor that doesn't shine for attention, but protects with purpose. You are being fortified, not just for you, but for the people you're called to lead, inspire, and rescue. So yes, this hurts. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but this is not the end. This is your becoming. This is the wilderness before the promised land. This is Goliath before the crown. This is where spirit warriors are made, not in applause, but in agony turned into anointing. So next time you ask, why all this pain, remember this. Because you're not just being prepared to live, you're being prepared to lead. You're not just being shaped for comfort, but for calling. Now breathe, warrior, you're in training. And when the time is right, God will call your name. Point 7, the unstoppable power of a chosen one. Chosen ones, listen up. This is not a season to stay silent, to play small, or to hide your light. This is the moment you've been prepared for, even if the preparation came through pain, betrayal, rejection, and silence. Every sleepless night, every tear-streaked prayer, every time you stood tall when it would have been easier to crumble, it was never for nothing. You see, in biblical history, those chosen by God were rarely the loudest, the richest, or the most obvious. David was a forgotten shepherd boy before he became king. Esther was an orphan before she became a queen. Joseph was betrayed by his own blood before he rose to power in Egypt. What you've gone through might not make sense to those around you, but heaven has been documenting every detail. And while others mistook your silence for surrender, God was using that very stillness to strengthen your spirit and sharpen your vision. Let's talk facts. Psychologically, those who endure chronic adversity without losing hope tend to develop what's known as post-traumatic growth. It's a real phenomenon where hardship doesn't break a person. It actually builds resilience, empathy, and inner wisdom. You didn't just survive the fire, you were transformed by it. Like tempered steel, you've become stronger in the places where you were once broken. Your suffering wasn't wasted, it was sacred. You were never being punished, you were being processed. And like gold refined in fire, you've emerged not just valuable, but purified, with divine fingerprints on your soul. Spiritually, the Bible says in Zechariah 2:8, whoever touches you touches the apple of his eye. That means your pain hasn't gone unnoticed. Those who tried to break you didn't realize they were provoking the protection of the Most High. They saw a quiet person, an easy target, but they didn't see the angels encamped around you. They didn't see the prayers whispered at midnight that moved heaven on your behalf. They didn't see how, even in your weakest moment, God was downloading strength, strategy, and supernatural endurance into your soul. And now the tables are turning. The same fire they tried to throw you into is the fire that's lighting your way to destiny. It's your pillar of fire in the wilderness, just like the Israelites had in Exodus. That fire doesn't just warm you, it leads you. And for those who plotted against you, that same flame becomes a fire of judgment, consuming what was never built on truth. You've spent too long shrinking to make others comfortable. That's over. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You're not shining to boast. You're shining because your light is part of the assignment. Remember, Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. And why should you be hidden? You've been forged in private to lead in public. You were chosen not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. Faithful to keep believing when nothing made sense. Faithful to keep walking when the path disappeared. Faithful to forgive when bitterness would have been easier. And that faithfulness, heaven rewards it. You are now walking in holy boldness. That means you're not just speaking from emotion. You're declaring from revelation. Heaven is backing your words because you've earned your voice in the silence. Every time you resisted the urge to clap back, every time you chose peace over pettiness, you were sowing seeds into your divine destiny. And now it's harvest time, not just material blessings, though those may come, but spiritual authority, emotional clarity, and divine alignment. You are becoming the version of yourself that hell hoped would never rise. And to every spirit warrior tuned in, don't forget, the battles didn't break you, they baptized you. You are not the same person who started this journey. You've evolved, you've grown, you've outlived lies, outlasted betrayal, and overcome everything designed to destroy you. The enemy tried to bury you, not knowing you were a seed, and now you're rising with roots that go deep and branches that stretch wide. It's time to stop looking back, stop rehearsing the pain, stop analyzing why they did what they did. It's irrelevant now. What matters is who you're becoming, because what God has for you is greater than what they took from you. Your glow-up isn't revenge, it's revelation. It's the unveiling of a life marked by purpose, built through pain and sustained by grace. The fire that once threatened to consume you is now the very signal of your resilience. So shine brightly, walk boldly, speak with authority. You carry the anointing of someone who's been in the trenches and came out carrying treasure. The scars, they're not signs of weakness, they're evidence of survival. Wear them like armor. Your time is now, not next year, not when you feel ready, not when others approve. Now, because heaven doesn't wait for earthly permission. When God says go, you go. So step out, roar loud. Let the world see what happens when someone refuses to quit, no matter how dark the valley. You're not just chosen, you're commissioned, anointed, appointed, empowered. Walk like it, live like it, and never forget the fire didn't burn you, it crowned you.